You see, most people in your life, they don't even realize just how hard it is to make sense of your own experience when you've been through trauma. Because it just throws everything out. It's so hard to make sense and see how things are connected and see how, your experience that has been difficult, that has been a struggle, the impact it's had on your life, and it just impacts the way we feel, the way that we think, the way that we live our life, the way we connect, the way we have dreams. And that's why I believe it is so vital to just find more ways to connect to your true own experience, to make sense of your own story, to reconnect with what's true for you and your true authentic self and the different parts that speaks to your experience, your hopes, your dreams, your ambitions and your desires. And that's so vital to help you ultimately lead a happier and more fulfilled life, right? Because isn't that what it's all about? Like leading a life that is filled with more joy, with being, spontaneous and creative and connecting with people you love or care about, and meeting great people and doing things that make you feel alive. And for that, I believe it's so vital to have more clarity around your own journey, your story, where you've been, where you're at, where you're going. And I want to share one way with you today that I hope is going to really serve you, because I know it's something that's made a huge difference on my healing journey. And I think if you add that to your life, I think it can really serve you and can really support you in living the life that you want to have ultimately. And this is a way that I've kind of stumbled upon by accident. A few months ago, I was going to do a talk at our local library around men's health. Now, men's health is something I'm really passionate about because it's what I lived. I've went through testicular cancer, and that wasn't fun. So I was going to talk about my experience, big things I learned about it. Going to talk about how to support someone going through a difficult time, not necessarily cancer. And anyway, what happened is I was going to do this talk at the library, and they didn't end up getting enough people to register. And so the library person who was organizing my talk, she kind of emailed me and said, "Listen, I'm sorry, we're gonna probably have to cancel it because it doesn't look like there's enough people to see you." And I was really upset, right? But then she said, "What if we, what if we do another talk, maybe in 2 or 3 months, and that's gonna be just on a slightly different topic, what would you like to talk about?" Because, and I thought, I've got my book, right? I've got my book, Finding Hope in Times of Uncertainty, a guide to thriving in a challenging world of today. So I knew I wanted to talk about hope, and I knew I wanted to talk about living with trauma and going through difficult things, because I'm on my own healing journey, and having kind of reconnected with my own experience of going through rape as a child, it's become something that I realized I want to share with people, because I know that we all go through difficult traumatic events, and I wanted to be that voice, someone who shares their story to help me heal, but also to, serve others on their healing journeys, wherever they might be. And I realized that I wanted to talk about stuff, but like, what am I going to talk about? And so what I started doing is that, every single day I'd spend a little bit of time just talking through things out loud. And I would just pick up at some point in my life Sometimes I'll tell the story of what I've experienced through rape, which was difficult. But, having done a little bit of work around it, and I think I found it a little bit easier than I would have, well, any other point of my life. But also started to talk about, how it impacted me as a teenager. When I fell in love, and turned out I couldn't have sex. I couldn't. I couldn't get it on. Right. That's just how simple it is. And how, that really messed me up. And I guess all these other events that happened in my life that were in a way connected to that horrid experience that I went through as a child. And so I started to talk about all of these things, and I started to talk about different times in my life and different times that I found ways to kind of hold on or keep going, or found hope that I would fall in love one day, and what made the difference. And going through my life, through simply telling stories, made such a huge impact, because I got to see how things are connected. I got to look at my own life, not somebody else's life, but my own life, and realize this is what's going on. This is the profound impact it had on me. This is how I suffered. But also it made me realize all those times when I did not give up, all those times when I did my best, all the times when I kept going, all the times even when I was lost and miserable and desperate. I gotta tell you, I was desperate at many, many times in my life. And yet I somehow kept going, because I had this dream and the hope of falling in love one day with the person who would truly cherish me for the person that I am. And thankfully that I found that person, and I'm incredibly lucky and blessed to be still married to that person and have a family together. So that's something that is huge for me. But seeing that journey and that connection and the healing journey that I'm still on, of course, it was only possible because I took the time to find clarity. I had an explicit goal to seek clarity about my own story. And that helped me to kind of connect the dots. It helped me to piece things together, to kind of, how you might have a puzzle, right? And you have all these different pieces, and they gotta fit in the end. Well, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about how do you take different stories and times and situations from your life, and how do you piece them together, whether they're around a particular that have maybe a through line, maybe they have a common theme, or and how do they come together for you? What are the things that you've learned? What are the times that you can look back on with pride? What are the times where you've experienced a sense of connection, when someone was there for you, when someone supported you, when you felt alive, when you kept going, when you stayed true to your values? Finding that and getting clarity around that it's vital. There's no way around it. I think it's the greatest gift you could give yourself. And that's what I would urge you to try, my friend, is to get that clarity. And because you live an incredible story, and I can guarantee that you are not giving yourself the credit that you deserve. And you're probably not seeing all the connections in the way that you could in your own life that might serve you, inspire you, that might help you to move on, that might help you make sense, that might help you to decide what's right for you, that might help you to express yourself more fully, that might help you to realize that you want to seek a greater sense of connection or support, or give and support others in some way that probably maybe hasn't been something of that occurred to you simply because you haven't had the chance to put it all together, especially in a way that makes sense today. Because even if you've done it before, isn't it true that the person you are right now, the person that you are today, is probably different to the person you were, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 12 years ago, right? We change, we go through life, we go through these shifts and changes. So the way that you would make sense of your life today and how you would be able to connect things and how you're able to make sense of your own experience and use that to move forward in a way that really propels you and pulls you towards a happier, more fulfilled, more purposeful life. That is everything, my friend. So what I would urge you to do is, I'm going to give you the prescription, a prescription from Dr. Bakhmutsky. Full disclaimer, I am not a medical specialist of any kind, of course, but I am a survivor. I am a person who is on a healing journey, and I'm here sharing what, I think just one way of going about your healing journey that might really serve you and support you. And I would love for you to consider trying this in your own life. And you don't have to be doing, anything differently in your life. You can add this kind of on top of what you might already be doing. So I don't want this to take up, extra time in your life. But what I would like for you to do is, when you're doing something that you do on a regular basis, when you might be on your own, maybe you're going for a walk, maybe you're doing the dishes, maybe you're doing something in the garage. I don't know what you're doing, but I'd love for you to spend time talking out loud and recalling a time in your life that had something to do with something that's affected you. Maybe a traumatic event, maybe a difficult time, maybe a struggle, maybe different struggles in your life. You don't have to have some sort of a role. But what I would love for you to imagine is that you're talking to someone who is genuinely interested in what you have to say. Maybe it's you you can imagine talking to yourself at an earlier stage of your life. Now you've learned things, and now you kind of want to share maybe what you experience. Or maybe you imagine talking to someone, to a good friend. Or maybe you imagine that you're talking to someone you love. Or maybe just someone who wants to listen. Right? So I would love for you just to imagine that you're telling that story, and they are genuinely, they really want to know. They're genuinely interested in you. They're genuinely interested in your way of life. They want to see how you're doing. That's what it's all about, my friend. Just telling stories. They want to know they want to know what happened to you. And then maybe they are asking, along the way, you imagine them asking clarifying questions, like things like, so, what happened next? Or maybe they will ask, what's helped you along the way? Or why did you feel this way? Because the thing is, when we speak out loud, I believe we activate different parts of ourselves. Because we all are storytellers by nature. Right? We all have it in you. Even if you don't think yourself of being a storyteller, you're great at stories. You're great at doing that. And I think when you start telling stories, and even if that's 5 or 10 minutes a day, and you speak out loud, doing what you're already doing, you are shaping the story of your life. And then when you say something that kind of maybe is an interesting time of your life, or an interesting story, or or you just found an interesting way to say, just write it down on your phone or on a piece of paper, however you like to do it. Just make it like a dot point, and then as you keep going, over days and perhaps even weeks, if you like this process, you're gonna end up with a different view. You're gonna have a different perspective on your own journey. And I promise you, You're going to find things that will surprise you. That's right, my friend. They will surprise you. There will be things that you haven't considered. There will be different possibilities. There will be different things that come up for you. It will help you make sense. It will give you that sense of clarity about your own story. And knowing your own story enables you now to seek clarity in what to do next. This is the process that I go through in Clarity First, in my coaching program. When you have that, when you want to generate that greater sense of clarity in your life, when you are seeking to really make sense of how this applies to different parts of your life, in your work, in you being creative, in you striving to be confident, in you seeking a greater sense of connection, in you wanting to make a greater contribution, it all comes back to then asking questions about what does it mean in your life? Why is that important? How are you going to get through it? How are you going to get around it? What are you going to do next? That's what it's all about. So when you start to get a view of your own stories, then you will be able to find a way to move forward. You will be able to it will give you all the prep that you need to figure out what's right next, because you'll have a perspective around everything that's happened, particularly as it might relate to the traumatic or difficult events that you have experienced and the impact that it's had on your life. And then you will be able to look forward with so much greater understanding and insight about the person that you are, and not kind of digging in the negative things, but it's not about the negative or difficult memories. It's about understanding. It's about finding compassion. It's about finding a true sense of who you are, because you are an incredible person. I don't know if anyone said this to you in this way, but you are a person who is kind, who is compassionate, who wants to make a difference. That's why you're here. You want to make a difference for yourself. You care about your own well-being. You care about the lives of others. And no one, my friend, no one is going to be more invested in your well-being, in your happiness and your way of life than you are yourself. So please, do yourself a favor. Tell your own stories to you. Answer those questions. Imagine that you get someone who really wants to know what's really going on for you, what you are experiencing, why did you feel this way, what happened next, what happened to you, someone with genuine curiosity who wants to know what helped you along the way, what did you figure out. Because these are the lessons that help us to get a true understanding of the true depth of your own incredible experience. Because you, my friend, you deserve to have clarity. And you deserve to be happy, to seek greater clarity in everything that you do. To show up at your best every single day so that you know you're enough. And to hold on to hope, as I'm doing here. Hold on to hope. That no matter what happens out there in the world, or the difficult times that you have experienced, might still be experiencing today, please know that things can and do change for the better. My name is Joe Bakhmutsky. Thank you for being here. I'll speak to you soon.